Go get us on the team, yeah, we getting it done. And shout out to Travell, yo, you number one. It started with a dream that turned into a vision. To educate new generations is our mission. Ears to the streets, yeah, we steady politicking. If it ain't about the change, mind your business.
Now wait again, minute. Wave your hands with it. Wait again, minute. Wave your hands with it. Now wait again, minute. Wave your hands with it. We top picks like we all up on the gram with it. Now wait again, minute. Wave your hands with it. Now wait again, minute. Wave your hands with it. Now wait again, minute. Wave your hands with it. We top picks like we all up on the gram with it.
You're now tuned into another episode of Wait a Gam Minute podcast. I am Gam, and of course, I got my sidekick, my co-host,
Miss Gogetta.
Miss Gogetta. Swing that mic around.
Swing this mic.
I mean, if you had to put it down your throat, that's fine with me as long as I can hear you. Absolutely not.
I can't get any closer, girl. It's not gonna look right on the camera if I get any closer.
Okay, well, just bring it. Just elevate your voice a little bit for me. Well, thank you, ma'am, for clearing your throat.
Thank you. Am I louder?
You're fine.
Okay.
But anyway, we're not going to cut up because we have a special guest in the house tonight, and we definitely want to be on our best behavior. But at the same time, we're definitely going to be us. Isn't that right?
Yeah.
Okay. So with that being said, tonight we have a special guest by the name of Pastor Karl Wilkins. How are you, sir?
I am doing amazing. I had to pause for a minute to make sure I wasn't in the middle of something. Got my black and white on refereeing, so
But I think you are see, and that's the reason why we have this hot seat because now that you said, we're gonna use that analogy of a referee because sometimes the person to your right, to our right, gets out of hand. So
I agree.
yeah.
Oh no.
But we have you here tonight for reinforcement, and then we know there's going to be a good, productive episode. So with that being said, how was your weekend?
My weekend was full, fun, fantastic, and it wasn't long enough.
Oh wow. What did
Always.
you do?
Weekends are never long enough.
What did you do?
Oh man, that's a loaded question there. I can tell you more what I didn't do, which was get any rest.
Oh wow.
But for the most part, it was good. Yeah.
That's good. Miss Go Getter, how was your weekend?
My weekend was chill. I did go out with my sisters Saturday. And I did go
We
to a
get tired of
baby
hearing about
shower.
them sisters every week. Them
Whatever.
sisters doing something. I'm sick of them.
Whatever. And I did go to a baby shower Saturday. So
Okay.
I did a few things on Saturday. But yesterday, I did nothing.
It was at a restaurant.
I went to a restaurant. Oh, I saw you.
Yeah, see?
I did
See?
see you Sunday
See?
at a restaurant. And I knew nothing about the restaurant.
Neither did I.
Now I told them they're going to get tired of me. I
You
told
t-
them right there. I told them, I said, y'all going to get tired of me.
you told them the same thing I told them.
Really?
I was amazed first time ever going in there.
Mine too.
Yeah,
Even though they was there and they had been there for 3 years, the place was really nice.
it was.
And they were so friendly.
It was. It was. It
And my
was.
food was good. How was yours?
Oh my God. I had to pull foil out of my mouth. I ordered the pork chops and some of the foil got caught on my fork as I was watching the game.
Look, I ate some of mine. I sat there at the Kroger gas station and ate some. I couldn't even
Oh
wait
my
till I got
God.
home. I said, let me taste, my gas pump. I said, just taste something. So, oh my God, next thing I know.
So sad. So sad. Well, I'm glad that you guys had a good weekend, a fun, fantastic weekend, and ate good and all that, and foil in your mouth and all that good stuff. Because I did. You know what? What did I do yesterday? Oh, I came here, I changed the studio around, then I ended up coming back today and changed it back around.
You're wasting time.
Yeah, I did. The energy that I didn't have. But with that being said, since we got all of that out the way, Pastor Carl, can you please introduce yourself to our viewers and listeners on Wait Again Minute?
Yes. I am Karl Wilkins, who pastored the Mount at Suffolk. I pondered this question today, in regards to asking, who am I? Because sometimes I still try to figure out, who I am. I know whose I am,
Mm-hmm.
but there are times wherein I question who I am. And I say that because um, as everything else is evolving, as far as in society and our community, I'm constantly changing its place. If you vex the content
Mhm.
of it, because again, if a song has a hook, for me, um, I think secular music has its place in the church. And again, I'm not saying drop it like it's hot, that that kind of thing there, but someone like um, rappers that they listen to,
Mhm.
and if the lyrics are not too explicit, you know, I think those type of things, that if you go to a church and you're playing that kind of music, I think you'll get a young person interested. Like, well, that's my first time going
Yeah.
to church.
Mhm.
All right.
Yeah.
I agree.
And then
Especially if
too,
you play the hook, because
yeah.
it's really about the hooks anyway.
Yes,
A lot of people don't even really listen to the words unless they
A lot of people
real
don't even know the
artists.
words.
right,
Exactly. I
Yeah.
listen to the music and the hook. But a lot of people don't really pay attention to the words unless they are an artist. They pay attention to stuff like that. But most people out here that's just we listening to the beat,
sure,
we
Mhm.
listening to the hook.
sure,
So if you have a good hook and the hook is simple and clean, then I think,
sure,
my personal belief, I think it would be okay because it's not offensive to anyone.
right,
Shouldn't be.
Right. I think to go along with what you said, Miss Go Getter,
Mhm.
like if a person is sitting in church and you're more worried about the music and more concerned
Right.
about things that, and if you listen to, if you listening to them, not don't look at, I mean don't listen, but look at how the kids are interacting,
Right.
how the kids are moving,
Exactly.
sure,
and what's going on in the service.
sure,
And every service isn't for you.
sure,
So if
Right.
you go to church every Sunday and every message that pastor up there preaching is for you every Sunday, I have a hard time believing it.
sure,
Because I'm like, every
Something's
Sunday
not
ain't
right.
every Sunday
Yeah.
ain't a message for you.
sure,
Right.
There's other people in there that's going through, or other people that he's getting a message to as well. So if you sitting there worried about something simple as the music, I think you're missing the point.
sure.
You're
Now, I
totally
know
missing.
with me just making that statement, I know for our viewers
Mhm.
that struck a chord with some.
Yeah, and that's fine.
Yeah.
And that's but we definitely unapologetic and unfiltered, and we are gonna speak the truth,
Sure,
and nothing but the truth. And if it hurts you, then it didn't come from a negative, a
sure,
negative place, but it came from a place of sincerity
sure,
and a place of it is what it is,
sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
So and if it hurts you, if you probably traditional, you
So
I
let
mean,
me
For
ask.
some,
Go
I
ahead.
don't think it hurt them. I think
Mhm.
it challenged their theology and
Right.
their ideology,
Right.
their ideal.
Mm-hmm.
They don't think that's a good ideal, and
Yeah.
that's when they start voicing their opinion and their view on it.
Mm-hmm.
But not looking at the results of it.
Right.
right.
You know, and but I think over time, when a person starts looking at in the grand scheme of things, what's the ultimate goal? The ultimate goal is to win souls to
Mm-hmm.
Christ.
That's it.
And
That's
if it
it.
takes that, let's do that, yo.
Exactly. So let me ask you this. Let's go back a little bit. Okay, so at what point, now that you're a pastor, but before, at what point you grew up, okay, so you grew up in a traditional church,
Hmm.
right? But you wasn't churchy. Did you always want to be a pastor, or did something happen when you changed and then you want to become a pastor? And then when you decided to become a pastor, at what point did you decide, hey, I don't want to be the traditional pastor. I want to be the non-traditional, and I'm more so not worried about the idea of church, but I'm more so worried about getting sold.
Well, growing up, I would have never thought in a million years that I would someday be a pastor. And I think for me, I think it was already God's plan for me to be a pastor, and it started, in my early youth. When I was about 7, 8 years old, I had a anger problem, and I would find myself on punishment not being able to leave the room, let alone the house, and my brothers would be able to go and play in the neighborhood with our friends. And during that time, being in that room as a 7, 8 year old, you tend to be mad at the ones who put you there, and you
Mhm.
begin to express inner anger, and you wanna you want to hurt people and you wish that they were dead, and again, this is when you're young and you have nobody there to help you to process. And I wanted to go to jail. I wanted to go to jail, and because at that time, guys would, in the neighborhood would come home from jail and they would be muscular, and I wanted to go to jail to get big so that I could, you know, hurt those ones who hurt me. And in that moment, I just believe God changed my room into a jail cell, wherein my father had some clippers, and I would go and get the clippers, and for mental, release, I would start working on the clippers. And of course, couldn't go anywhere, so I went to the barber shop. And just to get to where you to answer your question, go to the barber shop. I'm a visual learner. At 8, 9 years old, I started watching how the barber would use the comb and the brush, and I would mimic that when I go home. And of course, when my brothers went to school, they would ask, "Who cut your hair?" And he told them, Karl, and things just start snowballing. Well, in high school, now I have all of these athletes that I'm cutting, the football team, basketball team, and I'm on the basketball team, and I'm getting all this attention that I never got. So all these girls are calling my name, and after the game is
Those
over,
seasonal girls.
yeah, they waiting around, and you trying to get them all, and I ended up graduating with 3 kids. Well, it was in that moment wherein God was really starting to develop this blueprint of my life. So I ended up giving my life to Christ because child support and all that stuff, and I needed to change. And once I gave my life to Christ, you start asking questions, so why did you call me? What's the reason for all of this? And then God started showing me that one day you're going to be a pastor. He didn't speak to me. He just allowed me to look at, I had 8 kids by 6 baby mamas. And God started showing me that one day you're going to pastor. Your life is no different than a pastor. The pastor sees all these different people on Sunday, and when service is over, they go back home to their different places. You see your kids on Sunday, they come over to the house, but then when Sunday evening comes, they go back to their different homes. So he started showing me similarities of my call, the one you are called to pastor. Then he started showing me through cutting hair. You are called to pastor. I got you standing up every week, and I got people sitting out there waiting on you to get in your chair. So he started gradually revealing it to me. And that's how I came to know that I'm called to pastor.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, because you
Yeah.
you were definitely outside.
Yeah.
Three at three.
Outside. All the way outside.
But at least, you can look at it like, on the flip side, like you had your kids early,
Hmm.
Right.
because you're still young now. So I'm sure your kids are in their, what, 20s or something like that, late
30s.
30.
Yeah, 36,
Shoot.
35, 34, 33, 32,
Oh wait.
17,
All the
and
30s. Wait a
7.
minute, 17, 7. What?
Yeah,
Oh, so you
Oh,
were
so
back
you
to back.
stopped and then you went. You took a break
yeah.
and then you went. So that was
So
your.
no,
That was like his Sunday of rest.
no, Miss Go
He took
Getter.
a
What
break.
happened was he was outside, and God was dealing with him. So that's why he took that break from that 32-year-old or something to the 17, and then and now he's,
Catch my breath.
yeah, he had to get himself together.
Yeah,
But he's here.
yeah, yeah.
So at that point, when you decided to pastor, you went from traditional to non-traditional. When did you decide, hey, I don't want to be the traditional pastor. I want to be.
I don't think I made that choice. I don't think I made that choice. I think once I accepted the call that, okay, God, you calling me the pastor, because he showed it to you first. And once he showed it to you, you have to accept the fact that this is it. I accepted the fact that he was calling me.
Okay.
So then it's the initial sermon in the sense of, okay, now that you've called me, what church, who are you calling me to?
Mm-hmm.
So I ended up leaving a traditional church by force.
What'd you
I
mean by
was I
force?
was forced out, meaning something happened.
Okay.
Whether it was a altercation with the pastor or
Mm-hmm.
a disagreement that causes you to leave. Something had to force me to leave. And when it forced me to leave, I ended up going to the church where I am now, which is the Mount,
Okay.
and which is a non-traditional
Church.
church.
Definitely. Yeah.
So were
So
you doing visits to this church prior
no,
to?
never ever been to the
You
church a
just.
day in my life. My
Oh.
current wife, and her husband had visited the church on a marriage retreat, and when we got married, we had some turbulence in the beginning, and
Okay.
she remembered. that the Mount was the place of rescue. So me and her ended up um,
Okay.
going there.
So
And
how did you end up becoming the pastor though? A pastor,
this is
site
how
pastor.
this is how that happened. The first time I've ever went to the Mount, meeting the pastor there. Um, um, Sitting down with him, he was asking me a little bit about myself when he found out that I was a barber.
Okay.
Well, when I left there from the counseling session, before I can get out of the parking lot, his secretary called and said, "Hey, um, the pastor wanted to know if you could cut his hair because
Okay.
his barber had transitioned somewhere else."
Okay.
So that was my first time ever meeting him. So right in that moment, that same day, first time ever meeting him, I became his barber. So every Sunday, I would cut his hair before service. Didn't know that God was strategically placing me beside
Absolutely.
my mentor.
Mhm.
And I cut his hair in the back before he would go out. And then I would go out and he would cut my hair in my mind.
Oh wow.
And then I became more so, God would start to groom me as I was grooming him.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
And God was basically crafting me out of the traditional and molding me into non-traditional.
Okay.
Now he is called to the second dimensional believer, which means people who are tired of traditional church and looking for something different. That's what his ministry is about.
Okay.
I am called to the next generation of believers.
And
Oh,
okay, so
okay.
go ahead and break that down.
He is called to the second dimensional, which is traditional church
Mm-hmm.
people,
Right.
I am called to the next generation, meaning teenagers, young people who have not even developed a faith, don't even know God.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm called to them. My job is to get them to know the God that I know. And I do that by exposing them, taking them places, doing things for them, talking to them, showing them through demonstration what Christ looked like.
Right.
Right.
What, so that they could see God. It's like, wow, I don't know God, but man, based off of how you treat me, I want to know him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's a good way of putting it though, because you know, exposing them to something that they've never been exposed to, and then on that level, like some of them, I'm sure probably never been out of their neighborhood or from low income
Sure,
families, so they haven't been exposed to even going to a theme park.
sure.
And that brings me to my next question. I like I was telling you prior to the episode, I sit back and I watch a lot, and I watch how active you are in the community, how effective you are in the community, especially with the young men. So with that, you have this thing going with all the men get a sports coat, right? Tell us a little bit about that and why. Why did you come up with that?
Being a barber and being a barber for 32 years, I knew at some point in time, my season for cutting hair was coming to an end. Especially me
Okay.
with accepting the call, the pastor and the preach. I knew that I couldn't do both because being a barber is demanding. You got to be there for your clients, when they
Hmm.
get off work, things of that nature. And I knew that I had to choose between the two. So I didn't know how to make that transition, but I knew I had to do it at some point.
Okay.
And I love cutting hair. So before the pandemic, I asked God, like most people do, God send me a sign.
Oh yeah.
God send me a sign to let me know it's time to leave the barbershop.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what I said to him. I said, this is how I know when it's time for me to leave. Send somebody in here to rob me. And
I,
yeah, that was the sign that I was looking for.
so you wanted something drastic to again push you out, force you out.
Yes. And when I realized that, when I said that to him, he said, "Oh, so I got to send somebody in to rob you in order to get you to leave the barbershop?" And I said, "Oh, no, 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 God, you ain't got to do that."
Yeah.
I recanted it.
Mm-hmm.
And
Okay.
what happened next was the pandemic. When the pandemic came, it shut everything
It
down.
basically
It
robbed you.
robbed you. Yeah.
One of my clients had just got a job for the city of Portsmouth. He was going to the city councilman when they was talking about starting a barber program because in the city of Portsmouth, a lot of kids wasn't graduating.
Right.
Gang violence, gun violence was on the rise. They wanted to bring more trades back. He dropped my name to somebody and they called me.
Mm.
The night before they called me, I had no idea that the job was on the board. So I waited to the last minute to apply for the job. In fact, I didn't even apply. My wife applied for the job.
Mm.
That same night, my sister-in-law called me from Maryland because nobody could go to the barber shop, and her husband cut her hair, and I had to navigate him how to cut her hair by Facebook. Pick this
Mm.
blade up, go up about a half an inch, comb it down. I was walking him through a
Oh yeah,
haircut.
she would have
Didn't
had a
know that
goal.
I was getting virtual training,
Uh,
which meant that God was preparing me how to do haircuts virtually
for
because
what's about to
nobody
come.
was in
Yeah.
school.
Wow.
So that next day they called me on the interview and they asked me, well, how would I educate the kids knowing that we're not in school? I said, well, it's funny y'all should ask because last night I just navigated my brother-in-law how to cut my sister-in-law's hair by way of Facebook.
Oh
Mm.
goodness.
So God was setting me up, and
Mhm.
during that time, I had 4 students, and I would have them on Zoom, and I would tell them go in the kitchen and get a kitchen chair, get a chair, go get a sheet, put your sheet on the table, take all that stuff off your dresser. I want you to set your dresser up like you are in a barber
The
shop.
barbershop.
I
Yeah.
want you to call your brother, your cousin, your uncle, and I want you to have them there Thursday. And I was navigating them
Mhm. Mhm.
on how to cut hair virtually.
And you didn't even. Yeah, that was. Oh, no, that was
So
good.
to answer your question, um, being in school, the coach was trying to raise a standard with
Okay.
the boys when they go on away trips.
Mhm.
The stuff that they were wearing, it was unacceptable because they didn't have the clothes. All they had was scrubs and sweatpants. And that was not the way I believe God wanted them to look in representing themselves,
Mhm.
representing the school, representing the city, representing their parents. So God laid on my heart to go to Walmart and buy them button-up shirts and ties. And then it dawned on me, they need
You
jackets.
need jackets. Yeah.
I said, what kid wouldn't want a jacket?
Yeah.
And then I had Philip Michaels himself. I reached out to him and asked him, can you come here and tailor fit some jackets for these boys so they would know what it feels like, what success feels like?
Mhm.
I started navigating and moving through resources.
Mhm.
And when they saw what I was trying to do, Philip Mike says that, you know, I see what you're doing. We're going to discount this.
Right.
We're going to discount that. And now all of a sudden, you got one school with these jackets. And now I said, man, they've never been anywhere. So I stood up one day when they was getting size. I said, man, I'm gonna take y'all on a jet photo shoot. I didn't know anybody, nothing about a jet. All I knew is that I wanted them to know what success feel like
Right.
because
That's
all of
right.
them want to go to the NFL, but all of
Mhm.
them ain't gonna get there. But if I can give them that vision,
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's it. That's it.
so I went to the airport and talked to them about jets.
So you hold on. So you didn't even know. You didn't have no contacts, anything. So
None.
you went to the airport and talked to them, and then what happened after that?
I ended up calling my bishop because he owned a jet,
Okay.
and he called his pilot, and we worked it out. But the day that we were supposed to go, the
Mhm.
day before we were supposed to go, the pilot called me and said, I'm stuck in Louisiana. I
Oh
panicked because
wow.
all this stuff had been set. The delegate
Mhm.
was going to be there. The kids were excited. I had no jet. I ended up going on 58. Something told me to go on 58.
And I would have kept right on going past them.
I
But go
said I
ahead.
already went on 58. When I went on 58, turned on 58, it was a jet on the runway. I pushed my foot on the accelerator, turned in the parking lot, parked the car, went inside. As I was going inside, the jet was leaving off the runway. I
Mhm.
ran up to the counter and I said, oh my God, I can't believe this. My dreams have just flown away. That's what I said at the register. And I said, y'all, look. I said, this is crazy. Look, we were scheduled to go on a jet photo shoot tomorrow, and the pilot over at the airport just called and said that he had a family emergency. He wasn't gonna be able to do it. Is there any way that you guys? And it was like, no, this is a private airport, so we don't own any jets. But then they said, see that building over there? They said, go over there. They rent helicopters. So I said, okay. So
Mhm.
I go over there. When I get over there, the door is locked.
Mhm.
I'm like, man,
Mhm.
helicopter ain't gonna do me no good with
Oh
60
yeah,
boys.
yeah. They were
I was
smaller
getting
aircraft.
back in the car and a hangar door was open. And it was a little teeny small man. He was about 5'2". I almost missed him. And I said, hey, sir, how you doing, sir? I said, hey, look, my name is Pastor Karl Wilkins, and pastor of church here in the city. I said, my dreams have just flown away. I said, sir, I was supposed to take some kids over to this airport, and the guy called and said and I gave him names, and the guy was listening. He says, so you was going over to there? And I said, yes, sir. He says, well, the guy who owns this helicopter place, he'll be back in a few minutes. Tell him what you're trying to do. I told the guy when he came up, and the little man was sitting there listening at me. The guy said, "Well, I'll give you a call back later." When the guy left, the little man said to me, "I tell you what, you said you was going over to the airport." He says, "I own an aircraft over there."
Wow.
He says, if he don't help you, call me." He gave me his number. The guy called me, told me he couldn't help me. So I got on the phone and called him. I said, "Mr. So and so." He said they won't go help me. He said, "I've already contacted the airport over there." He
Yeah.
said, "Can you be there at 1 o'clock?" When we get there,
Mm.
this is it. When we get there, he has his crew outside of the airport waiting on us. We pulled up in charter buses. When we got off, the airplane was black and red and white. He says, "Hi, I'm so and so." He says, "I'm the pilot of MJ. This is his aircraft."
Right. Mm.
So not only did we get an aircraft, we got an aircraft for the baddest basketball player who ever played the game.
Are you serious?
Blown away.
Oh my God. Yeah, I would have been blown away too, because I'm saying there like
Are you
blown
serious?
away.
Didn't know anything about nobody who owned the aircraft. But I just had a heart desire. I wanted to take these
Yeah.
boys somewhere they never been before, and I believe God honored that.
He definitely
Yeah.
did. So he blew you. So you were blowing their mind, exposing them to something, but God was also
blowing
Blowing
your
mine.
blowing your mind too, showing you like, look, you gonna be careful what you ask for now, because you just might get it.
Do what you say.
Dang,
I'm learning that
that's yeah,
the power of words.
yeah. It's
Yeah.
very strong, very
So
strong.
how did the boys react to that?
Oh my God. You can't, there's not an adjective that can describe the impact. They would never, ever, ever, ever forget that. They was taking pictures and calling their mom, and
Yeah.
it was phenomenal. It was life changing.
And that I think that's something that they will never forget. Like money can't buy things like that. Like
Yeah,
that
that's a good
experience for them,
experience.
um, I'm sure I'm sure it made your heart glad. I'm sure you were like ecstatic as well. But has any other kids came back and said like how they felt since that day? Or
Oh,
they talked about it?
they don't say it, they show it.
Okay.
One thing for sure that I've learned, respect is not given, respect is earned.
Mm-hmm.
That's true.
And they don't say it, they show it. It's one thing to say thank you, but it's another thing to demonstrate it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the level of respect because they see you as something different that they never had. I never had somebody to do that for me.
Right.
And being that I see Malcolm as barber instructor, I'm realizing, as my wife told me, you're not there to teach to cut hair. You're there to be a father. A lot of those kids don't have a father figure.
So how does that make you feel?
That makes me feel, that makes me feel, it feels like I got a second chance because with as many kids as I have, I've made major mistakes in the past of not knowing how to be a dad. But over time, wisdom has taught me how to be a better father. And
Right.
now I view it as if God has given me such favor that now I can be a better father. Even though I wasn't the best to my kids, but you learn from your mistakes. And I
Right.
apologize to my kids for not being who I am today,
Right.
you know. But now I get to be something that they need me to be,
Right.
you know.
Mhm.
And okay, when you said that you apologized to your kids, right? Did your kids forgive you?
Some of them
Okay.
haven't.
Okay.
Yeah, some of them haven't. And that's the work and that's the, you know, the reconciliation that I'm waiting on, you know.
Okay.
Um, I mean, my kids, they are not disrespectful or anything like that. And when we see each other, you know, it's all love. But I
Hmm.
know that there's some hurt, you know,
Yeah.
disappointment, you know, especially when they see, you know, me out doing this stuff for all the other kids. And it's like, you know, and finding that balance, you know, and just being transparent, you know, me and God is working through that,
Yeah.
because life is life in now.
Yeah,
They
it
got
is.
they got kids,
That's
they
right.
they working, I'm working, and our schedules don't always fit, and just finding that time, to talk and be vulnerable, and of course, having kids by different moms, sometimes the kids are feuding with one another,
Oh
so
yeah.
you got to work through that, and even in your adult age, at some point, your kids gotta mature to the point to say, you know what, y'all, we mature enough now. We should be able to come together and say,
Yeah, definitely,
yeah,
definitely. And I think, like, I could speak like from being from a fatherless home, absent, parent, or who I thought, you know, well, not who I thought, wasn't there how I thought he should have been, but he only showed up how he knew.
sure,
So like now we are developing a relationship, so to speak, or whatever. Like like a couple of weeks ago, he called and he laid so much stuff on me that I've never heard him say, never knew he experienced or
mm,
anything. But I was there for him in a moment where he
you
needed
need
me
the
the
most.
most. And I thought back and I got kind of teary eyed. I said, "Well, God, like." I don't know because there I am being there for him again. When is he going to be there for me?
Mhm,
But in actuality, when I really thought about it, I started looking at it from a different perspective.
mhm,
Like I was there. I just feel like God set that whole moment up. So now I have a level of respect for him, like that I didn't have before
mhm. Sure,
because I can understand
sure,
why he moved the way that he moved.
sure,
So and it's just a point of me letting go some of those hurt
sure,
issues too. And
hmm
I think that's what it is for a lot of us. Like we hold on to it,
sure,
whereas we matured, we bettered ourselves, but yet people are still holding on
sure.
to the old us
Yep,
or the us that they really don't know.
sure.
So I definitely I'm sure God's gonna work that whole situation out. I have no doubt. Um and I think too when you were saying about like with the multitude of kids that you do have and different homes because everybody's raised different and believe in different things allowed you to be able to be in the position that you're in today
Sure.
because again kids from different walks of life.
hmm
And I know I seen about a month or two ago, I seen a video where they gave you an award that you didn't know that you were getting, and they surprised you.
Right, right. Teacher of the year. Yeah,
Right
teacher of
now,
the year.
who would have thought?
Who would have? I wouldn't have never imagined myself being a teacher of the year, especially graduating with a 1.3 GPA.
You barely get. Oh,
It was
so
never, yeah,
1.3.
1.3, 1.3 GPA,
Yeah,
and
yeah. You still would have been in school.
yeah,
Okay, yeah.
yeah.
That's ridiculous.
And look, and here's the thing, God got jokes because graduated with a 1.3 GPA, um, going to seminary, I had to produce my transcript, my high school transcript, and I had the opportunity to read what was written about me because I was tested by a psychiatrist in the sixth grade. They said that I would never be able to learn. And reading that in the office at Virginia Union University, that shattered me
Yeah.
because I've always felt like I was slow.
God,
Why
look
did
at
you
God.
feel
I've
like
always felt like I was slow because I did not comprehend or catch on to the curriculum that the teacher was teaching.
was it most or maybe you just wasn't paying attention to catch up?
I was paying attention, but I don't think the teacher was giving it to me in a way that I
You
understood
That
it.
you
understood
can
it and that
comprehend,
you could
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
understand it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Level of
yeah,
comprehension is
Just
different,
it's
but
different.
different.
I
Yeah.
think you were a little
Yeah,
touched because you had a 1.3,
yeah.
and yeah,
But yeah,
yeah.
but he also was playing ball and he had 3 kids. So
Have,
he was paying attention
yeah,
to
something,
something.
something.
Evidently not,
Yeah,
because he had three.
Yeah, he
yeah.
was paying attention to
You
something.
know, he wasn't paying attention.
But here's the thing though. Here's the great part about that. Sitting in the office, I felt, like I didn't fit in there.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
But God has such a sense of humor that not only did He allow me to go through that process to get a MDiv, I end up getting two masters.
Wow.
Wow.
Now, paperwork said that he couldn't learn; he was a
Right.
slow learner. But yet, I got two master degrees: Master of Christian Education, which is what I'm doing now at the school that I teach, creative thinking, writing curriculums,
We teach
things.
creative thinking.
Well, yeah, that's
Okay.
part of it.
Mhm.
And yeah, but it goes to show. that whatever man says about you,
Exactly.
it doesn't matter if God say something different.
Right.
Yeah.
And it goes to show that you didn't stop and let that stop you.
I didn't.
And I think
Because,
too,
you
the
know,
go ahead, Miss Go Getter.
that could have really like, you know, stopped you and had you down yourself and doubt yourself. You know, they say you can't think or comprehend or learn or
Sure.
whatever they say. But then you could have been walking around going, oh no, I'm not going to do that because
Sure.
they said I can't learn
Mhm.
anything. But you read that and you said, oh, okay. And it might have hurt you a little bit, like hurt your feelings a little
Sure.
bit. But you said, okay, well, that's what they said. But let's go ahead on and sign these papers over here and do this.
Sure.
And you completed it.
Sure.
So you started and you completed it.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's pushed to the side.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can tackle something else. But I think too, being that you're in a different place now, and when you know better, you do better, and when you want things, you have a tendency to apply yourself even more. And I think yes, it may have, like Miss Go Getter said, probably stung you a little bit,
Sure.
but um, it propelled you to want more,
Mm-hmm.
to do
Right.
more. Okay, yeah, that was all right. Yeah, I didn't know that back then. Now, okay, now it's connected dots, but whatever. Let's go to something new. So,
Right.
being that you are doing what you're doing now, what would you say to the younger you?
What would I say to the younger you? Um, Based off of where I am now and how
Hmm.
my life has evolved, I don't know if I would say much to him. I
Okay.
think I would go back and say to him, it's gonna be worth it.
Okay.
It doesn't make sense now. Looking at him in the state that he was in and what he needed in that moment was encouragement and understanding. I would say to him, it don't make sense. It don't make sense now. In the end, it's gonna be worth it.
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't know how to explain that to him
Mm-hmm.
where he would
You
understand it.
understand? Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Oh,
Wow.
yeah, now that's kind of deep though. It will be worth it. Because
Now,
at that point, you didn't see none of this.
None of
None
it.
of this was in your vision. None of this was in your daydreaming moments. Because I feel like everybody daydreamed in school. Because I used to daydream all the time. And I saw a whole lot of stuff. But you being a pastor, was that ever in a vision? Or even you being a teacher? Did you daydream about any of that? Or this master barber?
No. The only thing that I saw was people.
Or
okay.
you used to daydream and see in your vision people?
I just saw people. I've always been around people.
Mm-hmm.
And cutting hair created an environment wherein I had something that people wanted.
Right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You had necessity. Yeah.
I had an ability.
Yeah.
And you know what?
That was your gift that led you
Yes,
to where you are
it
now.
draws the ability
Mm-hmm.
of cutting hair drew people to me. When you got something that people want or people need, you're like a magnet.
And
Right.
then you was very good at it.
Good
Sure.
at it, but then very personable too. And
Right.
Sure.
I think it all, to me, listening to everything, I think it all lines up for you. So it was worth it
Hmm.
because of you having that ability to cut and all of
Right.
that and listen to people and be able to relate to people. It all went down the same line of the road of where you're at now
Hmm.
because of what God bless you with. He's still allowing you to do that in a different realm
Hmm.
because you can relate to, because you are a relatable guy. Like speaking to you prior to the episode, I was like, okay, I could talk to him. Like, you know, um, because it's just something about you. And to me, it's not fake, it's not forced. It's just like you just can speak. Like when you were speaking to me, it was in layman's term. Like I understood exactly what you said. You didn't have to, draw it all out. But I understood it and I accepted what you said. And just thinking about like all of, even though I don't know your whole life history, but just a little bit about from what you said or whatever. It was all planned. It was all ordained for you.
For sure.
You know.
And I cannot go any further without giving total acknowledgement to my wife.
That's right.
Let me take that back. To my helpmeet.
Mm-hmm.
It
It's
was not until my helpmeet came in my life that my life changed 280 degrees.
Oh, wow.
Mm.
That's good though.
There's a difference between a wife and a helpmeet.
Yeah.
This is my second marriage.
Okay.
I had a wife
Okay.
who, to no fault of her own, wasn't a helpmeet.
Okay.
And again, not trying to
Right.
downplay anybody.
Mm-hmm.
But the difference is, in when I met my wife now, she's a helpmeet. She came into my life helping.
So she was on an assignment. She
Right.
was assigned to you.
I met her at the altar.
Oh wow. Oh
I
y'all.
met her at the altar.
Okay, so y'all both have went up to the altar at church and y'all met each other.
We were side by side,
Oh.
and I was broken because of a failed marriage.
And when you grabbed her hand and said, "Come on in,"
Nah, and the pastor said at the end of the prayer, "Now hug the neighbor to your left." And she just so happened to be there, and I was just
And he said
boo-hoo
take her
crying.
home.
Nah,
He said,
he might have told her that, but I was broken. I was
Yeah.
broken, and she just hugged me, and she whispered to God, "I can love him."
Are you serious?
And she was going through a divorce herself, and
Wow.
God systematically allowed us to be there, and we just started going through the healing process of
Together,
divorce,
yeah.
develop a friendship, and didn't know that God was bringing us together.
And how long y'all been married now?
17 years, going on 17 years.
wow.
Mm.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Well, God does all things well, and He does things that we don't even like. We don't even
we
see.
don't
He
see it.
had both of y'all go to that front.
Yep,
He just happened to have her standing on your
yep,
left, and the pastor just happened to say, hug the one to
yep,
the left.
And
And
it
that's
happened to
it.
be a yeah.
And then she didn't help you become the man that you are now.
absolutely. And God does it that way. You never,
Mhm.
never know who God will use, the person beside you.
Right.
Yeah. 2024. 2024, your I listened to your sermon and you said that it's the year of release. What does that mean? Break that down for us.
The year of release, the year of release, we believe, my pastor, bishop, believe that every year God releases um, to his prophets what he's doing in the earth realm. And as we go back, day one, the Bible talks about what God did on day one, what he did on day two, what he did on day three, what he did on day seven. He rested. But what did he do on day eight? Or what did he do on day nine? The Bible talks about teach us to number our days.
Right.
God has a calendar just like man has a calendar. It's just that man calendar lets us know what's going on Easter Sunday. When is 4th of July? When is Christmas? When is Easter? It lets us know what to expect. God has a calendar too. In the year 2024, he is saying, this is what I'm doing these 365 days. Last year for us, it was a year of positioning, which
Okay.
means God was positioning mankind. He was bringing people in, he was taking people out, he was moving people up, he was moving people back. He was just positioning the earth realm like a chessboard.
Okay.
2024, he's saying, now that I've got everything in position, the year of positioning, now is the time for me to release what it is that I want to release. And for us, for it's different for different people.
Mm-hmm.
For some, it's going to be he's releasing healing. For some, he's releasing deliverance. For some, he's releasing finances. For some, he's releasing homes. For some, he's releasing reconciliation. It's the year of release. And we believe that he's doing that these 365 days that he will be doing that. We don't know when he's going to release the person from their marriage or,
Right.
from their job or from that relationship. We don't know when he's going to release the finances because he still got to bring somebody in your life to hear your
Yeah.
story. And you don't know who it is, but we do know he's releasing.
Yeah.
So we believe that this is the year where God is releasing things in the earth realm. Like tonight, he's releasing information.
Right.
He's releasing wisdom. He's releasing knowledge. He's trying to help somebody to understand who he is in a greater way and what he's doing. And he's not telling it to everybody. He says, I reveal my secrets to my prophet. And as
Mm-hmm.
I said, there's a difference between a preacher,
Mhm.
a prophet, and a pastor.
Mm.
You got a preacher, a prophet, and a pastor. All three of them got different functions. The preacher stands up on Sunday and says, "Thus says the Lord."
Mm-hmm.
Bible says this. Wages of sin is death. He preaches that.
Right.
But the pastor, his job is to take care of the sheep. He gonna come and see you. What's going on with you?
Yeah.
What's wrong? He's nurturing. He's a caretaker. The preacher's not a caretaker. He's just gonna preach. But a pastor gonna take care of you. Now, a prophet, he gonna come to you and tell you, this is what thus says the Lord.
Says the
If you
Lord.
don't
Yeah.
get yourself together, God said you got 30 days.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And he will offend because he's the mouthpiece of God. This is what God said. And I think people don't know how to differentiate the difference between a preacher, a pastor, and a prophet.
Mhm.
Right. And which one are you?
I am all three.
So all three of you different. So you all three rolled in one.
When I got my minister's license, they asked me this question. So you say you called, which area of the fivefold ministry are you called? I said, I'm called to all five of them:
Mm.
apostle, prophet, preacher, teacher, evangelism. I do all of them. You look at my life, I do all of them.
Mhm.
And doing
Yeah.
well. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I believe that mantle rests on me. Now, the audience, somebody watching may say, man, who he think he is? I'm trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know.
And
But I
he
believe that.
said that.
Yeah. I am who God says I am.
Yeah.
Right. And if he said you all,
Yeah.
you are all. So when you become overwhelmed, speaking of pastor's the one that's nurturing. So when you become overwhelmed and life is lifing with you personally, how do you handle that?
Now that's
What
a
do you
great
do?
question. That is a great question. I think I'd be so self-absorbed into lifing
Mm-hmm.
that I'm on this constant run. And it's hard to get off of this wheel because being on the wheel, it's like when a hamster is on a wheel, he keeps running and he
Mm-hmm.
don't even know he tired.
Right.
He don't even know he burned out.
Mm-hmm.
Not until he get off of
The
that wheel.
wheel. Yeah.
So he don't know he overwhelmed. I don't know I'm overwhelmed. And it would take my wife to say, I think you're doing a bit too much. And I would say, no, it takes sickness for me to get off. It's like
Yeah.
God had to allow sickness for me to take a break.
And that's me too. I can relate to that because that's me too. It seems like every time I do take a break, I just sit back in the house and chill because I'm always out the house. It's either I'm not feeling good or I think my sinus. It's always something
Hmm.
like that. It's never because I'm overwhelmed. Let me sit down. I
Hmm.
just keep going and going and going and going. So yeah, I can relate to that.
Sure.
And that's not good either, though.
No,
It's not. It's not.
no.
It's not. But you know what I learned a while back. They were saying like a lot of times, especially as Black people, we work through our trauma. Like we work through our issues. If we have something going on, we're not going to stop. We're just going to keep going. But in actuality, that doesn't help us in the long run because we're
Right.
not dealing with whatever it is we have going on.
Sure.
Right? We just, I don't know. But I just thought I'd give y'all that for free.
Sure. I appreciate it.
Okay, thank you.
No problem, no problem. But my other question to you was I heard you preach a sermon not once but twice, and you spoke about the four P's, which is the pushers, pullers, um, paralyzers, and what was the other?
Planners.
Planners.
Hmm.
Out of those four, which one are you, and why do you say that one?
I would say, well, first of all, for those who are watching, I believe that there are four types of people in your life that you have to be able to identify,
Mhm.
especially in this season. And those four are pushers, pullers, paralyzers, and planners. Now, the question is, which one of those am I? Well, first of all, a pusher is someone who is going to inspire you. They're going to motivate you. They're going to encourage you. They're going to be the ones that saying, "Come on, girl, yeah, you can do that. Yeah, I
Right.
think you should go back to school." They're gonna get behind you and make you feel like you invincible. Girl, you can do that. They're gonna nudge you. They ain't gonna let you settle.
Hmm.
Then you got your pullers. Your pullers are those when you're trying to move forward. And you got those saying, "Come on, girl, let's go to the club," or "Come on, let's go to the mall and spend this money." And you know you ain't got the money. And then you got your paralyzers, people who, when you look at them, their life is still the same. There's no progress, no progression. They're in the same place, talking about the same thing. And then you got your planners. Those are the ones who help you to sit down and strategize and come up with methods and strategies on how to get from here to there. So for me, I am a pusher. I am sometimes a puller,
Hmm.
wherein I'm not pulling you away. I'm in front of you trying to pull you out as if I'm a record truck.
Okay.
And then I am a planner. I am going to help sit down with you to figure out what it is that God is asking you to do, how to get there.
Oh, okay. I think I'm a pusher and a puller, like a record truck too.
Okay.
Hmm.
But I can see you being those three, Pastor Carl, and it's so befitting for the generation that
Hmm.
you are assigned to, because they definitely don't need anybody to paralyze them. Like they got enough of that
Yeah.
of people around them. So I think that you are doing what, and I'm not a prophet at all, but I'm just saying, like, listening to you, like, I really, the more I listen to you, the more I really think that you are on the right path. Like, you are where God has placed you to be. Like, um, and which leads to my next question, right? Oftentimes, I know I have reached out to different pastors and preachers and whomever, um, about, because we have a nonprofit. It's called Impact, and it's intervention and prevention for violence as well as at-risk youth, right? And we're trying to figure out how or why don't the church, because the church does have an influence, right? And I think, why don't they come out to, like, we don't see them out doing a lot of, well, some of them, we don't see most of them out helping in the community where violence has stricken, the community, or something is going on. It's like it's always behind the four walls.
I think the church has lost its influence at one point
Okay.
in time in the 60s and during Martin Luther King era. I think the church had influence
Okay.
Okay.
because they represented people and they could come together. But in this day and time, churches are in competition with one another.
Oh yeah.
Oh
And
yeah.
That's
therefore,
true.
therefore, we have lost our influence and
Because the focus not there.
the focus is not there. And a church could see another church thriving,
Mhm.
but yet because they're not doing it, they will condemn or find reasons why they're doing it,
Hmm.
you know. And it has become competition. Who can out preach each other? Who can out hoop each other?
Mhm.
Who can bring it home? And I think while we do that, I think we're losing a generation.
Right.
And to me, it's like we see the news, we look at the same TV, look at the same news, and we see young men dying, and it's still not enough to get them to come out the four walls. It's like,
Yeah.
and we do walks and we do candle visuals and we do all of this. Yo, that ain't, no, we got to do more than that.
Yeah. That's absolutely true.
And that's true.
Yeah.
So with that being said, because to me it seems like most churches now starting to look at the church more so like a real full business. Although technically it is kind of a business, but they're really operating like a business. Oh, I'm gonna go to work. I'm gonna go preach. I'm gonna go pastor. I'm gonna make sure y'all pay these tithes and do the offerings. I'm gonna get what I'm gonna get, my pay, whatever extra I can get, and then I'm gonna go home. That's just like a job, right? And then and I have been to a church where some people have even said, "Well, this is my job," but you really shouldn't look at it like a job, and you shouldn't really look at it like and run it like a job and carry it and move like it's a job, because we all know how we move and carry it with our jobs. You're doing something that you're doing, but you really don't want to do it. But if this is a calling for you, then it shouldn't be an attitude or a body language of, I don't really want to do it. I'm just doing it because I got to pay my bills.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, I don't know if that was a question or not, but but a perspective.
Yeah.
But yeah, church is more than just church. Church
Right.
is a business.
Mhm.
When Jesus was 12 years old, when they went to pay their tithes or to the festival, well, Jesus got lost. And it wasn't until the mom and daddy got home that they realized where's he at. And
Mhm.
when they went back, they found him in the temple. Like any parent, they went to him and said, "What are you doing?"
Yeah.
And he tells them, "Didn't you know I must be about my father's business?" God has a business. He's into the soul winning business.
Mhm.
Jesus was in the temple trying to win souls. He was
Right.
battling tradition.
Right.
So with church, church has three dimensions.
Mhm.
When you got a small church with anywhere from 10 to 50 people,
Right.
that's more of a family oriented church
Mhm.
wherein,
Yeah.
after church, they're going to be in a fellowship hall eating chicken and
Yeah.
macaroni and cheese, they bring in potluck. But when you start getting 100 to 300 people in your church,
Mhm.
well, ain't much eating now. Now
Yeah.
they arguing over who gonna sing and
Mm-hmm.
we need choir robes and pastor who did this and they arguing. It's contention. And then
Mhm.
when you getting 500 to 1,000 people,
Oh
you
yeah.
need more structure.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah,
You do.
definitely.
So now you're dealing with corporation. You
Right.
ain't dealing with no small money.
Right.
You need some
Yeah.
trustworthy people,
Yeah, ain't
people
no
who,
small business no
yeah,
more. Yeah.
it's a job now.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And if you don't do your job, somebody gonna fall short. So it's perspective. It's perspective, and most people don't won't understand that until they start experiencing that type of growth and
Right.
being exposed to more knowledge and
Right.
things of that nature. But it is a business though, and
Right. But
when
it's
you're
a business
serving,
of souls,
it's a business of soul,
not of finance.
not of finances.
But it does
But it
take
takes
yeah,
finances.
Yeah, take finance.
Yeah,
It
it does
takes.
take
it
finances.
takes I think for me though, I think like sometimes when when you go to church and people are there and you have I know we often talk about it, like especially if you're at a nice sized church or whatever, and then you have offering. They say, okay, with a $10,000 line, a $5,000 line, and I'm sitting here with my $50, which
Mm,
I already had on my mind
hmm
that I knew I was going to take and put in the offering today, and it's like it kind of deters people sometimes for maybe two or three different reasons. One, they like, oh, they all about money, or two, maybe become a thing of they like, oh, I don't have that, so I don't, it
You don't
make
want to
them
go
feel a
there.
certain
Yeah.
type of way.
hmm
Mhm.
So, with that being said, what would you say to someone who's going to church and they feel like
They can't
it's
afford.
about a number or it's about finances? More so like they're preaching about tithing and prosperity, and they know that they have some people that are in the church who just really don't have it. Like they're really living from check to check. But and they go to the church looking for because it's a hospital. They go looking for whatever it is that they're seeking, but they don't get it because they are stricken by this tithing thing. Tithe.
Well, tithing, and that, those are um, what I call controversial topics because
Mm-hmm.
some people view tithing different. Some people view
Yeah.
it from the Old Testament. Some people view it from the New Testament. You ain't got to tithe money. You can tithe your time and stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that. But for me, when you start getting into relationship with God and based off of how good He's been to you, you won't make it about money because he says to whom much is given, much is required. If
Right.
I gave you $1 million, I don't expect for you to give me $50. I've been too good to you.
Yeah.
And if you're looking at it from God's perspective, you're gonna come in his presence and drop $50 in the bucket and think that he's supposed to be appreciative when he says, wait a minute, Gambrell, you giving me $50 and I made you a millionaire?
Mm-hmm.
You don't think I would have a problem with that? It says give to whom much is given, much is required. I require more from you
Yeah.
than I do go get
Her.
her.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So why should I have to stand up and say I need a $10,000 line, a $5,000 line, and a $50 line? Well, the person with $50, ain't talking to you asking for $5.
Right. Just that's
I'm not, I gotta, it's a shame I gotta stand up and say I need a $50,000 line. Because there's somebody in there that got $50,000.
Yeah, that's gonna give. Yeah, and they're gonna give unto
Yeah.
him as he's
Yes.
giving unto them. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
here's the part, as a pastor, y'all, as much as preachers don't like to talk about money, God expect me to get up there and say, bring the tithe. And y'all, I just want to let y'all know God said, bring you the tithes into the storehouse. It's right here in the book. Y'all know I did not write this. I won't even hear when the Bible came out.
Right. Right.
And some people will say, well, man wrote the Bible. I don't know who wrote it. All I know, the man said it.
Right. That's right.
And this is what I live by.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not here to contest it. I'm here to live
Yeah,
by
I
it.
just live by it.
Yeah. That's it.
Now, if you want to live by something else, you can. Y'all work that out.
Yeah.
I'm going to bring my 10%.
That's absolutely
If I make
true.
$100, he said, bring me 10.
Yeah.
You
But
keep the
yeah,
90.
and see, and that all makes sense, and I understand all of that when it comes to you do with your 10%. If you know
Yes.
your 10% is not 50,000, then again, that message is not
It ain't for you.
Yeah. That's absolutely
And if
true.
you don't have no money, you go to God and say, God, you know I ain't got no money. God saying, well, give me 10% of your time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, God, you know I ain't got no money, but I'm just sitting at home. I ain't got no job. God saying, you know you ain't got no job. Come work
Yeah.
for me then.
Yeah.
Right.
Give me 10% of your time. Run
So,
this email, the emails.
so what do
That's
you
right.
find as being a pastor? What are some of your challenges that you have experienced?
Some of my challenges is finding balance,
Mm-hmm.
balance in work life,
Mm-hmm.
home life,
Yeah.
church life. That is a that is a challenge because all three of them are demanding. As a pastor, and you got 300 parishioners who got needs. They need counseling, weddings, uh, um, funerals.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you got to prepare for those. You got to sit down and figure out what words of encouragement can I say to this family that will uplift this family.
Right.
Then you got your wife saying, you need to spend some time with me.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got your kids saying, hey, Dad, I want to sign up for basketball.
Mm-hmm.
Then you got your job saying, you better get that assignment in by the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And then you got yourself saying, I need to go and get a mental break. And
Right.
finding balance with all of that as a pastor, that can cause stress. Now, if you're not called to do that,
Mm-hmm.
you're gonna burn out.
Mm-hmm.
But if you are called to do that, God will release a grace wherein with all that is going on, you can still smile, you still functioning, you still progressing, things are still growing. With all of that going on, nobody can do that without God's presence or his grace on your life.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And you not lose your mind.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And I believe
That's
that
true.
because you have a lot of, you hear of a lot of um preachers and stuff now have taken their life because of the stress.
Yes,
Like, and I can't imagine the load that you guys carry because it's one of you guys and it's multitude of us.
sure,
And some
And
of us have five,
everybody,
six personalities. So it's just a lot.
exactly, and everybody have an issue and want to talk to the
sure.
pastor.
Yep,
Yeah, I
Not
don't
the
want to talk to the
secretary, not the
yeah.
associate,
yep,
not the no. I need to talk to him.
yep,
Because
yep.
And
you can get the word
Mm-hmm.
faster than the associate, the secretary, anybody else. The
Sure,
treasurer, the evangelist, the deacon. You can get the word. So no, I'm gonna send it this line.
sure,
And then if you have over 100, 200, 300, or 1,000 people, you have 1,000 people. You standing you done already preached. Now you stand looking at the line.
mm-hmm.
Oh my God!
Now look in
And
the
you got to go home.
but look in the line. When you look in the line, you got 15 pretty girls who dressed up,
for
wanted,
you. Yeah, for you.
For you. They
and
want to talk to you.
all it take is an allegation
That's
to
it.
Right.
say the pastor did this to me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
A lie right off the top.
Mm-hmm.
And now he has to his
Fight for his life.
reputation
Yeah.
Yeah.
all
That's true.
behind
Yeah.
all behind a lie.
And that's okay. Now let me ask you that since you brought that up. When you are when that happens, like do are you one of those people who always have somebody present with you
Oh,
as a
absolutely.
covering? Yeah.
Absolutely. You're gonna always be mindful of that. Leadership teaches us to always be mindful.
Yeah.
Never ever have a counseling session by yourself. Have the door open. And I am at the point where if my wife can't be in there, I don't know if I'm the one you want to be talking with. Because there's no way I'm gonna put myself in an environment
Yeah.
wherein you can go out and say, he said something inappropriate to me or he touched
Mm-hmm.
me.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And I'm the type of preacher that I'm gonna come out on the news. I ain't running from the news. I'm gonna call the news saying that a lie. That's a lie. Y'all gonna
That's
look
a
at my
lie.
yeah. That's a lie,
That's a
y'all.
lie when she
Yeah.
told it.
That's a lie.
From the pits of the hill. Pits of hell.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and it's so common now, and people do it for. I mean, just make up stuff just for
Sure.
no reason, just to be seen, heard, or whatever.
Yeah.
So you never know what's on a person's mind. So that's why I ask you, like, are you one of the ones who have somebody with you? Because you have to be sure to be sure to be
Sure.
sure now.
Even
Not.
even with hugging people. You know, in church,
Mm-hmm.
hugging people.
You get a church hug.
Yeah. I'm at the point now where I don't even want to do no church hug because that can easily be mistaken as if it's a sexual harassment. I
Okay.
felt some kind of way. Because that's all it takes. That's all it takes.
It does. And then too, with the role that you're in, um, with new level, new devils.
Sure.
So
Yep.
people
That's
people
true.
people be
Motives. Absolutely.
out of this world.
Absolutely.
I don't understand people, but
Yeah,
that's what makes the world go round.
I think that's a serious challenge.
Jesus was falsely accused.
Mhm.
You see what happened to him? Got him killed.
Yeah.
Mm.
Lied on him.
Yeah, so that's well, what do you want people to remember about Pastor Carl?
What I want people to remember about Pastor Karl, that he was a man after God's own heart. I want people to look at me and say, man, that is one guy that I saw his heart. His heart was for people.
Right. Yeah.
His heart was for those who was crying in the wilderness, which is our young people. They are the ones that are watching their brothers and sisters and cousins and friends get gunned down. And there's nobody, no shepherd there to nurture them, but they're expected to come to school 3 days later, mourning, but then expected to excel in the classroom when they are dealing with the trauma of I lost my brother last week, I lost my baby dad, I lost my cousin, and y'all expecting me to learn it. When is somebody gonna nurture me? Close the book and just bring in grief counselors from all over and just hug me and tell me it's gonna be okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
When is somebody gonna let this God y'all talking about? I don't know this God, and right now I'm mad at him.
Yeah.
Don't talk to me about him. And God's saying, I need somebody in the earth realm who would represent me to let them know that I'm here, that I wrap my arms around them.
Yeah.
Greatest word that a young person can hear that's grieving is this. Shh, 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 shh. Our grandmother would hug us when we were younger,
Mm-hmm.
and all you would hear was, shh, 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 it's going to be
It's
all
gonna
right,
be all right. Yeah.
and a rug.
Yeah.
And it made it all right. But this generation, there's nobody to embrace them, to
That's
say,
true.
shh, 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 shh,
Right.
shh, it's all right. Here's my question. I know we're about ready to wrap up. My question is that I ponder every day, especially being in a city that is gun plagued with gun violence.
Mm-hmm.
I sit in my classroom and I see guys throwing gang signs and I see them and I say, man, what is it that I can do that will convince him to give me his gun? So I'll come up with something like this. I'll go to him and I say, hey man, I see you got the J's on, man. What's your favorite football team? Oh man, I like the Cowboys. You ever been to a Cowboy game? No, man. Man, check this out. What would happen if I was to get 4 tickets wherein you could take 4 of your homeboys and we fly to the Dallas Cowboy game? I buy y'all something to eat before we go, and I buy you sweatsuits and I buy you some Jordans. And we fly there and we come back. I said, man, what would that do to you? What would that mean to you? First of all, he wouldn't even know how to process that. He don't even think it'll happen.
Yeah.
But I'm the type where if he tell me that, I'm the type where find 4 men in the community. I go to 4 guys, hey man, look, can you sponsor one of these guys? This is how much it's gonna cost.
Mm-hmm.
Then I found another guy. And then I go back to him and I say, hey man, look, I got these 4 tickets, man. Look, give me your mom number, man. I want to call her and let her know on June the 13th we going to a Cowboys game. I want them to know who I am.
Mm-hmm.
I take them to the game, bring them back, and then I can talk to them as we flying in the air. Man, what's going on with the city, man? You got a gun? Man, God got so much more for you, man.
Mm-hmm.
You expose them to something, you show them possibility.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you say, man, you know what? We can do this again, man. But in order to do it, man, you got to give me your gun, man. Make him think about something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I put a ticket in his hand, I can get a gun out of his hand. Let's trade.
Yeah. That's a fair trade.
That's a fair trade. I can show
That's a
you
fair
another
trade.
side of life. And Lord knows if at the game I don't worked it out wherein I'm letting him meet his favorite player and taking pictures,
Yeah.
man, I can negotiate with
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Man, can you go back to your homeboys? Let me take all of your homeboys somewhere. Man, I got the whole gang. And then they talking about their upbringing. Man, I ain't never had a dad, man. You like a dad to me, man. That's all they that's all
That's
they
all you
want.
want. Yeah. And you're the perfect person to actually speak with them up to to even be able to approach them because everybody, a lot of the guys now, they don't that I talk to, they are literally scared to approach the young guys.
Mm,
They be like, oh no, because
yeah.
they own something else terrible, But I think with who you are and with the heart that you have, and people see that and the personality, I think you're the perfect person to speak with them on that level to be able to get them. Now, if you could have some more men along with you to help facilitate that, then I think it'll, as it continues to grow, then people will see. But I've learned too when you were saying about how the asked the guy did he have a gun. I've learned that some guys carry guns because of protection, like
Sure.
from where they are. So if he tells you, well, no, well, yeah, I have a gun, but no, I've never shot it, but I have it for protection. Like, how would you talk? What would you say to him, being that you know what environment he lives in outside of school hours, for him to give you that gun? Besides taking them somewhere that expose them to something new.
I would attack that two ways. I would attack that first of all by going to his parent. I will be confidential about it,
Hmm.
but I will go to his parent and I will find out where the parent is mentally.
Okay,
And I will
right.
find out if the parent was presented with an opportunity to move from where you are to a better quality of life. Would you take that?
Hmm.
And if that person lives in the projects, and I step to them and say, hey, look, if a home came open in the city of Suffolk in a middle class resident and you didn't have to pay for it, would you go to that? And if she say yes, what I would do is I would go and talk to relatives in that neighborhood and say, look, I wanna rent this house out for a whole year
Hmm.
and I'm gonna pay the rent. And I
Mm,
would I would because to me it's worth the soul. It
right.
takes money to do that, but when
Hmm.
people see and know what you are all about, they'll want to partner with you and say, okay, man, I'll do that. Instead of paying me $1,200 for 12 months, man, just give me 1,200 for 10 months and don't even worry about the security deposit. Because I see what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
And then if they don't have furniture, I can go to the community on social media, which everybody owns. Say, hey, y'all, look, I got this family that we're trying to move. We're trying to do something, change your life. If you got an old furniture set, look, don't give us nothing that's real raggedy, y'all.
Yeah.
But if you got stuff in storage that's just sitting
Hmm.
there, look, and you got decorative skills, look, come on, let's let all of us, let community come together to this one house and let that person hang the pictures. And then look, let's get some money together and go out to the grocery store. Let's fill the whole house up with all kinds of food. This family have no idea that we're doing this. And
Right.
then you go back to that family when everything has been prepared and say, "Look, we want to change your life today. Leave everything just like it is." And then when you get there, you got these 18-wheeler trucks in front of it, and you're telling them, "Move that bus,"
Yeah.
and then you tell them, "This is yours."
Yeah. And you know what?
That's vision.
It is vision and it's not far fetched because I've seen some of the things that you have done and that's why like I know that it can be done and I know that you're doing it because like you said you have the heart of God like but to not only hear but to see because a lot of times we go by what we see not about what we hear so to see that you're this type of man to see all that you are putting into the community I think it should compel other people to do the same and you using your reach and your platform to bring a better life a new way for other people is wild to me
Hmm.
like sitting beside you, and I'm like, cause even like through the podcasting, like It's to inspire, encourage, uplift people every single day. That's why we talk about everyday topics with everyday people, because we want people to see, yes, he is a pastor. Yes, he has this many members and he's doing what X, Y, and Z. But before that, he was this way. And God, he's transitioning to now to something different. And it lets people know, like, hey, no matter what rut I'm stuck in now, I put in the work. It can change for me too, as long as you're not a paralyzer. If you're a paralyzer,
Sure.
then it's gonna
Yeah.
be, hey, you're gonna be like a hamster on the wheel.
Sure.
Just running.
That's your reality.
Now you said something that, looking at it, it should compel
Mhm.
people to want to do it, but it
It
doesn't.
doesn't.
You know what it do? It compels people to compete.
It's crazy.
They can look and see what you're doing, and
Mhm.
it should compel them to say, man, you know what?
Right.
Man, let me go and help him.
Mhm.
But it doesn't. It causes them to compete because they want to do their own thing.
Yeah.
Oh man,
They competing. They want that, and that's, as long as we divide it like that, we're not gonna conquer
And
anything.
that's the
something I
sad
had a
part.
conversation about earlier this morning. I had that same conversation. I was telling someone that I was like, I just don't understand why people just can't do stuff together so it can be done and you can get more done versus than trying to you have one pie and if everyone do it together then you take the whole
Sure.
pie.
Mhm.
But if each person trying to do their own thing, you're only getting a little teeny piece.
That's it. Peace.
And that don't even make sense.
But here's the thing: it's because God chooses who He chooses the leader.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't ask for this,
Mhm.
Right.
and this is gonna be an arrogant statement that I'm about ready to make. But again, it's gonna be confidence because I know who I am.
Right.
Right.
God has favored me in this season to be a leader,
Mm-hmm.
a leader. I'm not saying the
A
leader.
leader.
Right.
And there are some guys who would look at me and say who he think he is. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Right. I understand what you're saying. But in
Yeah,
everything you do, there has to be a leader. Everybody can't, everybody want to be the chief, nobody want to be the Indian. But you can't have everybody just not meant to be
yeah,
a leader at that moment.
right.
Yeah. You think, with that, it's not about being arrogant to me. I think if that's who you are and that's who God has called you to be, why not stand 10 toes down in it? And we can't worry about what other people think because obviously those not our people. Those not who we are assigned to. So
Right.
what we do is we do what works for us, and those who we can work with, we work with, and we do what we can do. But I even the more I think about it, sometimes I get a little angry or whatever because I'm like, in everything is competition. And it's nothing wrong with competition, healthy competition.
Hmm.
But when it gets to the point where you missing the whole message and you doing something just because other people are doing it. Prime example, we do this self.impact. So we were handing out donation letter to certain business owners or whatever, and then someone made the out of all the verbiage on the letter. Oh, how y'all helping Suffolk, but y'all office is in Portsmouth? What does that matter?
Right,
What does that matter?
right.
So my thing is this: if you're doing something, if you're actively busy and you're doing something, you don't have time to be worried about
Sure.
what nobody else is doing and sitting there trying to bring somebody else down instead of trying to figure out what can you do to
To
help?
help. Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
How can I help you further this?
Sure.
But it's just like people are just gonna sit and just always have something to say. So I just say, you know
While they're
what?
sitting, like you said, while they're sitting paralyzed.
Sure.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Exactly.
Because we trying to be pusher pullers and
Exactly.
yeah,
Exactly.
I don't understand it. But yes, we have been talking to you like over an hour now. But I do think that, well, I know for me, I can speak for me, I can't speak for Miss Go Getter. I have learned a lot and I'm looking at things through a different window than I was before. And I think because I have a better understanding of, especially like even down to the tithing. Like I look at it a little different. Um And I hope that when people see this episode, that if it's for them, it's for them.
Sure.
If it's not, I'll pray that it misses them. But I'm excited to see what's next for you. Matter of fact, what is next for you?
Um, what's next for me? Um, I'm not for sure. Only because I never saw this.
Okay.
And as I said earlier, I am continuously evolving into something that I have no idea what it will be.
Yeah.
I do know that God is raising up new relationships that are economically more um, sufficient
Mhm.
than what I have been accustomed to. And I believe God is going to touch their heart so that whatever it is that He's calling me to do, the resources would be there. So I believe this year
Yes,
is the year
God,
of
bring the resources
resources.
to us too, God.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yes,
yeah,
I really, I definitely agree with that. Yeah, I agree with
yeah.
that. Miss Go Getter, what'd you take away from tonight?
Took away a lot from tonight. I look at Pastor Carl a little different because I've been knowing him forever.
Hmm.
Before all of this. So it's like now I'm looking at him like, wow, like he's really changed a lot, but he's still the same. He's still Carl.
Hmm.
But then the Pastor Carl, it's like, okay, so this was your actual calling. Because, you have some people say they're calling, but now the way you put it with your, you know, start cutting at an early age and how you cutting hair led to so much more that you had no idea, which nobody probably had no idea, but it wasn't really
Sure.
for us to know because we wasn't the one to walk that walk. But I've learned a lot and I really enjoyed talking to you.
Wow.
I really enjoyed talking with you. You have a lot of words and you're doing a lot. You're doing a
Wow.
lot. But I didn't know you was a teacher. I didn't know that. So that was good too, to know you went from cutting to teaching. I'm just so
So
proud of
you,
you.
so Miss Go Getter, excuse me for cutting across you. So you don't look at him as the old, because you know how like sometimes when we know people before they became
Hmm.
um um
No, I look at him like a totally new person.
right,
Mhm.
which is good because a
Yeah.
lot of times we look at people, they stand up there, they preach, and we were like, oh, I remember.
Mm.
Mm-hmm,
He's
mm-hmm.
doing so much that I
But
don't even remember
Wow.
the
he's a new
old.
creature.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a new creature. Yeah. I definitely, I get it.
Yeah.
this is my first time really sitting and talking to him. I've heard, a lot about him. I heard, my brothers speak highly of him,
Mm.
all, often. But to sit down beside him and talk with him, I'm like you, Miss Go Getter. I have a different level of respect for him.
Mhm.
And even when you're in the pulpit, and I know one time you said something about you're not a funeral preacher, or whatever.
Right.
I can see that because you're definitely unorthodox. But I love that
Hmm.
though. And you are confident in who you are and who God has called you to be. And I'm just excited to see all of what you bloom into being.
Wow.
Like
Mhm.
I really am. And so this is the part where we really want you to dig in deep and tell us exactly how your time has been since you've been away to get a minute.
Oh man, this has been rejuvenating for me. Um, Wait Again Minute has given me the opportunity to settle in my next because public speaking was something that always made me intimidated. But coming to this platform, it allows me and is preparing me for my next, being able to um, reach a larger audience by way of stream or way of radio or way of television, being able to sit down with the Oprahs and the Steve Harveys and not be intimidated, by what was said about me. So for me, this was a rehearsal, and I think I'm seeing a foresight of what's down the road. And again, for me, it was just about settling in and wait again a minute. Gave me that, it was almost like God said, wait a minute, wait,
Yeah.
wait. I just want you to know that I'm still perfecting you,
Yeah.
So it's platforms like this that you guys are allowing God to use. astronomical ways, And in my last 30 seconds, and as I said, sitting in this seat, to have watched y'all broadcast and to see so many great men or people who have sat in this seat to share their story, I consider the honor just to be able to be invited, you know, not just invited, but to get an invitation. Because it's one
Right.
thing to get an invite. It's another thing to get an invitation saying your presence is requested.
That's
You
it.
can invite somebody somewhere. You just invited, but you ain't gonna do nothing.
Yeah.
But when you get an invitation,
Yeah.
no, we want you as a guest.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Definitely.
so
Definitely.
thank y'all for this platform and giving me the privilege to share my heart and me.
You're
No,
welcome, and thank you for accepting that invitation and showing up.
showing up and showing out.
Yes.
Yeah. I definitely see, um, your heart. Like I really do, and it's kind of ironic because that's what I want people to see when it comes to this platform. Like they see us as the physical being, but it's really more than us. So that's you just gave me just I don't know. I can't even put it into words, but I'm blessed by you being here. Put it that way. That's all I
Yeah.
gotta say. So how people can follow you on social
Just
media?
want to say that.
You can follow me on Facebook, Carl Wilkins. You can go to the Mount at Suffolk. You can go to our Instagram page. Yeah, those are our social media.
What's your Instagram page?
Oh, don't ask me
That's why
that.
you skipped it. I figured that's why you skipped.
You just pulled my card because I'm not good at technology.
And don't say stuff amount like I did,
Don't
y'all.
say
It's
Suffolk
Mount.
Mount. Yeah.
Mount.
Yeah, the Mount at Suffolk.
No, that's a
Yeah. So I need to learn
social media
my
handle.
social media handle. Yeah.
So before you go to see Harvey and Oprah and all them,
Yeah.
know
Learn
your
that.
social
Learn
media.
that. Learn
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah. I
definitely,
might have to put it
definitely.
on a piece of paper,
Yeah.
So
so
go to
fast
his
I can open it up.
Facebook, Carl Wilkins, and that's your Facebook, and then you have Mount at
The
Suffolk.
Mount
It's
at Suffolk.
Facebook as well. That's probably the same for Instagram,
Yep.
y'all. But just
Yep.
search for it. Put it in the search and search
Yeah.
for it.
And when we drop the episode, we'll actually tag it anyway. So we got it.
Cool.
All right. So with that being said, stay tuned to all things WAGM Minute.